Update. So, I'm still gonna be leaving. I got 2 days to 2 weeks left. Where am I leaving to? To the woods, of course. I'm leaving for death. There's nowhere a person like me can go. What is the problem? What do I mean here? Well, I have a job I'm not allowed to go and use. I have the ability, I'm qualified for Social Security, but I can't receive it because my father already received Social Security for fraudulent and made-up illnesses that his wife was creating. The only real part of them were the anxiety, PTSD, and ADHD. But there was so much bullshit piled on that I need treatment and I need medical care for my epilepsy, when my legs aren't working and I'm not able to walk, when my speech gets fucked up and I'm unable to talk, when my arms are unable to be used to drive a car. When these things are going on in life, those are the things that doctors need to know about. If I'm going to be behind the wheel of a car, but my foot and my arms are not going to work properly, then the doctors need to know about that. But the problem is, when I tell doctors what's been going on with me physically for the last 25 years and how my mother was abusing me and bringing me around the country, they're like, okay, we can help with that. We can give you epilepsy medication and we can write down a diagnosis for you. Oh, okay, so yeah, drugs are what caused it at age 7. Your mother gave you drugs, slipped you pills. She had a behavior. Wait a minute, we don't see any of this in the file. We don't even see a history of epilepsy. We see your mother calling you crazy, your father saying that you make up stories all the time. That's all we see. We see, oh, you're a liar, you make up stories, you're a liar, you make up stories, you go to the hospital for fun. It's all a game. When you were homeless, you just wanted to stay out of the cold, so you used to go to the hospital for fun. That's what it is, right? No, you guys are scraping me off the fucking cement unconscious. I wake up in the fucking hospital. So how could I be doing it for fucking fun? I'm not. I can't wait to leave, and you guys hold me against my will. You guys have held me down on the ground and given me the same medication twice in the same hour because of another 12-year-old or 10-year-old child. I have seen these doctors hurt me and malpractice me so much in the last 25 years that I have PTSD and anxiety when I walk into a doctor's office and hospital. My mother with the doctors are the reason why I'm scared. And oh my God, I have nightmares at night of it. Oh my God, I have nightmares of being in a hospital. And then my roommate tells a story to the staff members. And then a bunch of men come in there and they grab my right arm and they grab my left arm. And then they slam you straight to a hard floor until you bang your head. Then they pull out some needles and they go, here's the first one. And then they inject you with that one. And then they pull out a second needle and they go, here's the next one. And then they inject you again. And then they just continuously inject you with drugs on the floor. Why? Well, they're saying, oh, you didn't take your meds. That's why. But that's not true. The truth is, I took all my meds in that afternoon. My roommate is mad at me trying to get back at me. This happened twice in my lifetime. They've forced meds into my body at least 20 different occasions. My mother's had them do it during childhood. They've snuck medications into my pills before, into my applesauce before. And then my mother was just doing it willy-nilly, just throwing drugs in food and drinks like it was no big deal, and then hiding it from my father and the doctors. But I knew. I asked my mother why. She goes, because you have to take your meds. So this is stressful for me, and I have to go through this PTSD by myself with no help from doctors. When I go into a doctor and I say I have PTSD from doctors and from my mother trying to act like a doctor. My mother used to be a nurse and she wanted to play doctor, so she adopted a child, and then she started playing doctor with meds in her medicine cabinet that weren't even prescribed to her son. And I need help for this. Well, that's why I'm going to be starting, and I've been working on it, and it's going out. As soon as I leave, my home is going out on Kickstarter. and I'm supposed to be trying to go for funding for attorneys and doctors. I want a really good attorney and doctor to help me with this because I can't stand any more malpractice. I can't take any more drugs that aren't meant for epilepsy or for my treatment. We can have me better overnight. You can give me diazepam, trileptal, with something like that's also for epilepsy, maybe like a Depakote, but I don't think so. Depakote doesn't help me at all. But something like that, something that's not a controlled substance that it can also be used for epilepsy. But we know Depakote won't work at all on me. Oh, that made me sick and really bad. They've tried all different types of those antipsychotic and depression drugs. We know that those don't do anything, but we know trileptal, CBDV, CBD, and CBN. We know Benadryl. We know alcohol. All the diazepam family. So all the medications for seizures work great. All the medications for epilepsy work great. Pregabalin works great. So, what is Lyrica? And so if you look at the medications I've tried, that they're all epilepsy medications, they show a great improvement overnight. I'm talking about I can use my legs and walk. Oh my God, look how good he's walking. And I can move my arms and I actually can hit the button on the register without having to go back every 5 times. Oh, okay, I hit the 0. Oh, I missed. It's the 9. Okay, I got to go back 2. Okay, now I got to hit the, oh, I did 9 again. Okay, go back 2. Okay, I got the 0. Now I need another 0. Oh, no, now I got the 8 this time. Okay, and you know how annoying it is to have your arms spasm and shake when you're trying to do anything in life? Do you know how annoying it is to have your phone slip out of your hand once a week to twice a week for your entire life? Your coffee, your phones, everything slipping out of your hand when there's medicine that could cure you, but your mother and father don't want you getting treatment. And if you're going to get treatment, you're going to need a good lawyer and a good doctor. That's all I need. I need a neurologist that's willing to put down a diagnosis on paper that I can bring to other doctors in other states. And I need epilepsy medication that actually works. See, anybody can just say, here's a pill. Bye-bye now. Now we're all fixed. We're all better. But the pills have to work. Now, we know the pills do work, but most of them are controlled substances. So if the doctors want to play games with the non-controlled substances and play games with my body, that's going to take a couple years of testing out meds because we have no idea. All we know is trileptal works a little bit, but it doesn't work outside in the cold. I still get cramps. My legs don't work. We still got flashing light problems, so it's not a cure. But we know diazepam works. We know gabalin works. We know trileptal works. We've seen so many epilepsy medications that work for me. Why are we not trying those? Because the doctors are misinformed. So I need to make a Kickstarter video, and I've been working on how to say this short and sweet, and I've been practicing, and I'll try to do it here so you guys can get an idea. I'm going to have my face on camera, and I'm going to say, hi, my name is Zachary. I've had medical problems for the last 25 years. Doctors have scraped me off the cement, and they don't know what's going on. For many, many years now, I have had epileptic seizures, and I'm not even able to afford a bracelet that calls ambulances for me. But now, after the last 25 years of research and development, we have found that it's some type of epileptic disorder that is a neurological disorder started through childhood. But my passed away mother wanted to make sure that nobody could ever help me. So she misinformed the doctors. She continued to lie to the doctors, making it so they're never able to spend the time testing or listening to me. So that if we're going to have doctors help me at this point, it's going to cost a fortune because I already have a neurologist, but they only spend maybe 15 minutes every 6 months to a year. At that rate, it'll take 10 years before I'm even on medicine to help me. And by then, I'll be living in the woods once again. No apartment is going to let me live there for free for 10 years while we wait for the doctors to do their goddamn jobs. But see, the doctors, if they go by my information, the patient, then we can move forward quicker. But see, the doctors want to hear it from my medical history. They want to hear it from my family that this is real and something that needs to be done. They want to hear it from my work. They don't want to hear it from me. They want to hear it from the people around me. Well, my work has seen me fall in horrible things that my coworkers, my roommates, we have seen this happen for 25 years. At age 7, we saw me on the ground lose my vision, lose the ability to walk, lose the ability to talk, had my breathing slow down, and I went unconscious. When I woke up, my body was changed for life. When the doctors and teachers saw that my body suddenly changed for life, they started putting me in physical therapy, speech therapy. But once again, my mother did not want me to get any help for this disease, this disorder that she caused. My mother didn't want anybody to know what she was doing to me. So instead, she cut off the doctors, cut off the teachers, told my father to take a job offer in Texas, and we went to Texas. At the point of when we were in Texas, at this point, my mother got a new start. She thought she got away with everything. At the doctor's office, the doctor wanted to help me with this sudden change in my body. They noticed coordination issues, and I was speaking about an overdose. That scared my mother. So then my mother put me in a New Mexico mountain where I was abused. My father sued them, won $26,000, kept the money for himself, then bought and sold properties while homeschooling me with the crazy woman. My mother then made up a bunch of stories about attachment disorder. While I'm trying to show her my swimming medals, while I'm trying to tuck her in at night. Yes, that my father was drunk on the couch in Maine, and in the middle of the night, I tucked him in. Then my mother and father were flipping out in the morning going, well, did you sneak in here and tuck us in? No, I must have been a criminal. Yeah, a criminal snuck into your house just to tuck you in, Dad. I mean, they're all mad. Like, who could have tucked us in? Who could have tucked us in? Well, it wasn't me. Well, maybe it could be your son. No, it can't be our son because he's an evil brat. So that was their attitude that morning. They're all mad at me for tucking in my drunk father in the middle of the night. And then they say, well, how are we supposed to know? You know, that's unusual behavior. Tucking in your... No, that's called attachment. But see, they want me to have attachment disorder. They keep on spreading these stories about my swimming medals, that I somehow am stealing them from African American kids, and that means I have attachment disorder because my name's on the back of it. No, my name's on the back of it because I won it at the orphanage when they brought me to the YMCA. That's simple. I won the medal because I treaded water the longest. That's simple. But see, my mother had to make up attachment disorder, starting with that medal. Then when we got into Texas, when doctors would hear me talk about this overdose, or when I would say my mother was treating me unfairly or she's lying about me, then my mother would say, no, he has attachment disorder, he's out to get me. Then when we moved to New Mexico, she said I had attachment disorder to get me in there, and they just want the money. This place wasn't built yet and cost more than $26,000 a year, and insurance does not pay for it. So my mother just goes, he has attachment disorder, please take him in this program. And they take me in the program, take the money with no actual diagnosis. The only thing is that I know they're hurting me. I'm tucking them in at night. I'm giving them hugs. I want nothing more than a family and a home. I am very attached to my father, but my mother is hurting me. Every time I try to give her attachment, she turns around and either smacks me around, gives me extra Epicac as a punishment, gives me medications and then I have an overdose, slips me medications before we go to the adoption actual part of it, slips me drugs on Halloween, smacks me around a little too much, makes up stories, confuses me about playing with matches means I'm trying to burn the house down, and has me medicated heavily just because I tried to light a match and look at it. So she goes out of control with these stories. Something as simple as your 5-year-old tried to light a match. Simple, right? Not great. He needs a spanking. But instead, my mother, she thinks okay, my son tried to light a match, so I'm going to brainwash him into thinking he's trying to burn the house down. I'm going to get him to repeat this to my husband, and then I'm going to get him on drugs. And then my son's going to be all confused with the spins, sitting there like, what's going on? What's going on? What are they doing to me? All I did was light a match, but my mother told me to say this, and I said it, but now everybody's mad at me. But now the doctors in the hospital tell me that's not true, that my mother's lying, that is not true. But then my mother says it is true. And then my father says it is true because I said it. But my mother's the one who had me say it. And then because I said it, it's true. But I didn't know if it was true or not. My mother had me say it. My mother had me say I was burning the house down because she said I could have burned down the house down because I did a match. And oh boy, am I getting the spins here. Oh my God. What else can I? Oh, wait. The doctors say it's not true unless I did it on purpose. Well, I didn't do it on purpose. I was just trying to look at a match. I had no idea if a house would burn down or not. I didn't even know how to get the match lit. I was just trying to figure out how to look at the match. But then my mother comes in and says I could have burned down the house down. So I am trying to burn down the house, and I need to tell my father right away. So anyway, she gets that in my head. I repeat it one time, but then my father says it's true that I must be burning down the house because I said it. And my mother says it must be true because I could have burned down the house, and so it must be true. But then I go into the doctors who are medicating me, and they say my mother's full of shit, that just because I lit a match and I could have burned down the house, that does not mean I'm trying to do it on purpose. To do it on purpose, that has to be something you plan. You have to premeditate burning down the house. Just seeing a book of matches near a candle that your mother or father lit and trying to see the glowy thingy, that's not trying to burn down the house. But when the mother comes in, she goes, you could have burned down the house, so you're trying to burn down the house because you played with matches. You are trying to burn down the house. You need to admit it right this moment. So she has these talks with me in private, and then she goes, I'm going to go get your father, and you need to tell him what you did right this moment. And then she goes and gets my father. I say exactly what my mother told me to say, and now I'm in more confusion and more confusion. The more I listen to my mother, the more confused and in trouble I get. Well, I realize at the age of about 12, 13, not to listen to my mother at all. Especially after my mother told me to give drugs to another kid crying in another room. That's when I realized my mother is a piece of shit. I had a kid crying in another room. I went and asked my mother if I should give him a hug, call his mother, or if I should give him over-the-counter mood stabilizers that my mother got me that I can take whenever I want. My mother bought these over-the-counter mood stabilizers. They're like supplements that are called, that they have a happy face on them. And she said I could take them whenever I want at 13 years old. Probably 12 or 13. Really young, like right when we came back to Chelmsford. So we're talking about age 11 to 12, 13. That would be one of those three ages. And I got a kid crying in another room who's much younger than me. And I go up to my mother and I ask her, should I call his mother? And no. My mother says, no, I don't think so. No. Should I give him a hug? Just a, so should I give him those over-the-counter medications, the supplement ones, and give him those? And she goes, yeah, give him the supplements. Give him the supplements for depression. And she has a whole conversation while she's on the couch. She looks at, yeah, the third one's the best, Zach. You should just give him the supplements. And I'm like, don't call the mother, not hug him, no. Don't call his mother, no. And she's like, no, just give him the supplements, then he'll calm back down. I said, okay, Mom. And then I go and I grab the supplements and I go into the next computer room. And I go, here, my mom says that I should give you one of these. And he goes, what are they? I said, they're over-the-counter happy pills. And then he goes, oh, no, I don't need those. My mother told me never to take pills. No, I'm sorry. No, Zach, I don't want them. And I go, okay. My mother just said to offer them. Okay. And I put them away. Nobody ever took any pills. But then after that day, I started to think about it for a second. And I started asking adults like Dan Beaudry in my life, hey, Dan, my mother told me it was okay to give a friend some pills when we were 12. Is that normal behavior for a mother? No, your mother's completely nuts, Zach. We've seen it all the time. You're asking if your mother is normal? No, she's not. She's completely nuts. Just your father doesn't do anything about it. He lets you be the lightning rod. So anyways, my Kickstarter, I'm asking for money so I can get a lawyer and a doctor that is paid by me. That way, we actually move forward with this. But in my Kickstarter, the main video is going to start with me saying, my mother created a fraudulent Social Security case, lied to doctors, manipulated them. She passed away of liver failure in 2011 while leaving me this humongous mess to clean up. Now, when I go to the doctors are already weaponized, making it impossible for me to use doctors to get better. When I go to get an attorney, they ask for money or they want a whole explanation in 5 minutes. So then the lawyers bail out on me unless I got money. So then when I'm on the side of the road bleeding, and they bring me to the emergency room unconscious, the emergency rooms just look at me, stitch me up, and throw me back onto the street to bleed some more. I get caught into this cycle. My legs have been injured. I got scars on my face. I got my head bashed in. I got memories that I will never be able to remember again. I got parts of my body that will never move right again. I got parts of my body I have lost for the rest of my life only because doctors do not want to do their job unless I somehow come up with millions of dollars. And lawyers don't want to do their job until they get millions of dollars. And my family does not want to work with me and tell the truth. They enjoy me being a lightning rod, saying, listen to his funny voice. He has a funny walk, a funny voice. His voice sounds childish, so let's just call everything a mental illness. But see, that's how my mother covered up what she was doing. I can't move my legs at times, and you know what they call it? A mental illness, like I'm doing it on purpose. Even though this happens when I'm by myself and all I want to do is get my money off the top of the fridge, I won't be able to move my legs. When I go out in the cold or look at a flashing light, I will have a seizure on the way home from work. You think I don't want to be home already? Of course I do. But it's not a choice. I don't make a choice if my nervous system is going to shoot out electrical spasms or not. I just get them. It's a disability. It's a neurological disorder, and you can't control a seizure or epilepsy or a neurological disorder. If there's something wrong with your nervous system because your mother gave you an overdose and she continued to lie to doctors and move you around the country your entire life, you better believe that's out of your control. It's not something I control. But see, my mother and father are continuing to hide this disability. So when the people see this, when they see me on the ground bleeding out unconscious, when they see me struggling to walk, when they see me missing the button on the register over and over, when they see my arm shaking, when they see me fall off a bike, when they see I can't drive a car, when they see these things in me, my real disability, when people see my real disability, it's nowhere in my medical file. They're like, oh my God, Zach's real disabilities aren't in this medical file. What's going on here? What? Oh, it must be a mental illness, his mother and father say, but we have nothing on a mental illness that causes him to go unconscious and bleed on the ground. So that's the problem. My mother and father created fake mental illnesses. I was born with ADHD, but by the time I was 12, my mother had given me PTSD, anxiety. My nervous system was destroyed, but she was hiding that from the doctors. So she was making up more and more mental illnesses to go along with the anxiety and PTSD she was causing. My mother would try to cause illnesses, physical, mental illnesses, and then bring me to the doctor to get more drugs, to cause more illnesses, to then bring me to the doctor, cause more drugs. And my mother also liked to slip me pills. Now, I know she liked to do this, and this is not attachment disorder. Anytime I used to go to the doctors or I try to tell somebody, my mother smacked me across the face with a metal ruler and she left that mark on my shoulder and see that little redness on my face. That was from the corner of the ruler, too, not a slap. This was the corner. And why? Oh, no, I didn't do anything. Well, mothers don't punish their kids for no reason. Mine does. Mine, well, she had a reason. She was mad at my older brother Tim, so she wanted to smack me around in front of her grandson Seth. So her grandson Seth would have to watch me get smacked around, and then he would bring the message up to Tim, and then Tim would be upset and not want, be like, oh my God. So that was why she did that one. Now, she did lots of smackings around. That was just the one where my nephew got to see. I got that ruler to the face, shoulder. I got it for no reason whatsoever. I mean, she was mad at times. Like I'll be in my room studying or doing my own thing. She would be on the other side of the house downstairs, and she would scream for me to go out of my room, go past a bathroom, down a flight of stairs, go through a hallway, go through a dining room, go through a kitchen, get all the way through the kitchen to the front of the living room, get to the couch, and I would ask, Mom, what? She goes, when I call you, you get here right away. I go, yeah, I'm on the other side of the house, and you know that. Well, what'd you need, Mom? I need this remote right in front of me. She literally would do stuff like that to test me. I would be studying in my room. She would scream, Zach, Zach. And you can't hear it because this stupid big house is so goddamn big. And why does my father and mother need such a humongous house? Oh, because they have my Social Security to spend. I don't need clothing. They need a big house. So when I was living in Haverhill, every month, when the other orphan kids, the other kids who were adopted, the other kids with foster parents, the other kids who were getting state checks, when they would go clothing shopping, my father would keep my clothing check. Every month, any kid who was adopted in foster care or he's an orphan, they all get what they call a clothing check. And it's more than $200 a month. And my father was getting $980 to cover clothing, food, medicine. Now, was I allowed to go get clothing with the other kids every month? No. For 4 years straight, I was punished in my room, and I got to pick out one can to eat for supper. Why? I asked, why am I being punished in this way? Why do I only get to pick out a can downstairs? And they would run out of Chef Boyardee after a while too, because remember, this is every month, and they don't buy Chef Boyardee for us. I don't even know why it was down there, because it's not like we get to eat it. It's not like we really get a lot of. We used to argue too. My parents would think that something was so easy. Like, for instance, in the mornings, when I was trying to get breakfast ready, they said that the morning staff would not allow it, and that was a big argument. I remember that one being a big fight, all because my father and mother don't want to follow the rules of the program, so the program takes it out on me. Every single time. Like my clothing, the whole program, they hire staff to bring the kids out clothing shopping at the end of every month or the beginning of every month. Once a month, all the kids get in a van, the staff go with them to the mall, they go into the bank, and then the kids are let to go shopping. One staff member goes with 3 kids, one staff member goes with the other 4 kids, one staff member goes with the other 3 kids, and that's how they go. And no staff members are left back in the program because every kid leaves the program. But see, my father doesn't want to go along with the program's rules. My father thinks he's special. My father wants to keep the 980 for himself, live in a big house. He wants to have a vacation and torture my body whenever his wife wants. If his wife wants to smack me around on a Sunday in another room with a ruler and then send me back with no clothing for a month in the program, that's fine with him. It's fine if I get smacked around. She lies to the doctors, gets drug put in my body, and then a program has no control over helping me because I have a mother. I have a mother. So she controls what the program does for medicine. But then when it's time for them to follow the program's rules, like for instance, letting your son get clothing, my father goes, no, I do the clothing. Too bad. I do the clothing. So then I'm punished every month. Why? Because they don't have staff members and they can't have me go out with $0. All the other kids want to buy me clothing. Of course they do. I'm the kid with parents who never has clothing that fit. I'm either wearing short shorts or extra large sweaters, or I'm wearing some type of church button up shirt with ugly shorts that are too short, or nothing is normal boy clothing. Now, most of the normal boy clothing I had was black with skulls that I got from other kids. Yeah, I had a lot of regular t-shirts I got from other kids in the program, and they were able to give them. They were really old. They were the more old ones. That's why I was allowed to get them. The kids used to try to buy stuff at the mall for me. It's not allowed. I told them no, too, because the staff members told me I had to tell them no. But when you have 11 kids with a $200 clothing check every month, and then you have one kid who has a father keeping his clothing check every month, all the other kids are going to feel bad for the one kid with a greedy father. And that's what happened. Every single month for 4 years straight, or 3 years straight, or whatever it was, every kid in the program would feel bad for Zach. They all wanted to buy me clothing. Every kid knew, oh, Zach needs clothing. Zach, the teachers at school go, can't we get Zach some clothing? Can't his father just give him a fucking clothing check? Zach goes out to fucking 10 clothing stores every month, but yet he's not allowed to go. He's not even allowed to get in the van and go with the rest of the kids clothing shopping because his father won't even give up $10. Not even $10. That's how greedy my father was. I told him what was going on. And if you think that's, maybe he didn't know. No, the program called and told him to put some clothing money aside for me every month too. But my father once again said, no, I'll do the clothing shopping. We'll do it once a year like we've been doing. We'll do it once in the summer and once during winter. And then I'll get him some pajamas for Christmas. And we'll keep it the way we've been doing it. Yeah. It's not a problem having our son be punished by himself, left out. It's not a problem that, it's so much of a problem that 11 kids all feel bad for me, that are all orphans, that have no parents. But yet my father thinks it's no big deal. See, that's the thing. If you got 11 orphans realizing that there's a problem, you got a program realizing there's a problem. You got me, his son, going, why am I in my room by myself when all the rest of the kids get to go clothing shopping? Why do I only get a canned good downstairs while all the other kids get to go to McDonald's? I mean, well, what's going on here? And then they always say, ask your father, ask your father. Why do I have to be in my room? Ask your father. We don't have staff members. Well, then let me go. Ask your father. For you to go, you need to have clothing money. Well, why don't I have clothing money? Ask your father why you don't have clothing money every month. Ask your father. Well, I found out this is why. Every kid that was a ward of the state gets a clothing check. If they're adopted, if they're in foster care, or if they're still an orphan. No matter what, these people still got clothing checks. So, well, the other 11 kids got a $200 clothing check every month. Was I not? Oh, yes, I was getting one too. I was getting a $980 check that had my clothing check included into it. It was a Social Security check with my name on it. Zachary was collecting Social Security from the state, and that has my $200 clothing check included in it. That has my food money, my clothing check included, and that's the rent. And it also has, if I have a father that adopted me, they add in a little extra based on his Social Security too. But see, my father thinks that means it's all his. Because they base the number off somewhat his Social Security, he said that means it's all his and he can keep it himself. That's not my son's money. He doesn't need clothing or food or shelter. No, I need a bigger house. No, I need a vacation. Well, no, I need top-class gin. I don't want to drink the cheap gin. I don't want my wife drinking vodka that's ruble. No, we need the top-class gin. We need a good vacation. We need a big house. Our son doesn't need clothing. Our son doesn't need to know how to drive. Our son doesn't need to be able to use his legs and arms when he gets older. No. I need a big house, and I need a vacation, and I need top-shelf booze, and I need a new car. Our son doesn't need a car to drive when he's older. No, I just need this. I need this now. And the other kids are getting $200 clothing checks? Is that what you're telling me, Zach? No, you're a big fat liar. No, that's what my father calls me when I tell him the other kids get clothing checks of $200 and that's all they get. Then my father says, that's too much. Meanwhile, he's getting $980. It's too much to give a kid $200 and that's all they get. They get to live in an orphanage program or a program, and they get $200 every month. That's it. But a kid who got adopted, his parents getting $980, that's not enough to my father. Let's up that to $2,000. No, let's give those people some more money, my father says. No, give people like me more money, my father says. Yeah, $980, make that $2,000. But the little orphan children who live in the orphanages, $200 is too much for them.